Hey guys, I'm Nick. On today's Q&A, Michael wrote in a few days ago, left a comment on one of our YouTube videos, and he asked a question about the current direction. I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to answer all that stuff right after the intro. All right, before we get started, we're going to do a little promotion for the loyal people. We got a small little group of people who watch the YouTube channels. I greatly appreciate it. Some of you guys have already clicked that little bell. About 130 of you, YouTube told me about it. Okay, so 130 out of 700 people have clicked the little bell, so you get instant notifications for every video we post, which is awesome. Thank you. To say, we appreciate it. We're going to do a little promotion on the website. So if you go to our website and you buy any 2 packs of lures, that being a mini swim bait or a soft jerk bait, we're going to put a decal in there, and we are going to include a pack of jig heads in the thing. You have 48 hours to do so. Today's the 20th, the 22nd at midnight. The deal is gone, okay? So get to it. Order 2 packs of soft plastics. We'll add a decal and some hooks. I'll ship them out to you immediately. All that good stuff. The link to our store page is below. Now, Michael wrote in Michael's question. Let's see here. Get this thing open. All right. Michael's question is, does wind direction dictate the current direction? He wrote some other stuff in there, but I'm just going to answer the question without reading it. I've been telling everybody for years that the tide is not necessarily the only thing you need to look at. And people often go, oh, well, I was told that the tide chart is king. It means everything. Well, it is, but it's not. We don't live in a place where the tide is, 6 feet. We live in a place where the tide may go out 1.3 feet in 12 hours. And that's on the big end, okay? So we don't lose a ton of water to tides. So it's very, very important for you to consider the fact that you have a tide and you have a current. Now, the tide sometimes dictates the current. Other times, the wind will dictate the current. So, tide and wind. I use a tide chart to see how deep the water is going to be. That's it, realistically. Yeah, it's cool to know, hey, the water's going out, the water's coming in. That's great for navigational purposes, getting into some backwaters, fishing some super shallow stuff. But outside of that, you need to know what the wind is doing. The wind is going to allow you to pick a place to fish where you're not getting blown all over the world. The chop is not insane, and you don't have to make a crazy pedal or paddle back to the launch. So the tide and wind are 2 separate entities, and they need to be thought of it like so. They both create a form of current. So you have 2 types of current. You have wind and you have tide. If you have a strong outgoing tide, yeah, certain things are going to happen. But if you have let's say here, this is the best way to look at it. The Destin Pass runs north to south. So if you have a outgoing tide, the water will be funneling south. It'll be coming out of the Destin Pass, okay? But if you have a south wind, now the wind is coming in. So the waves will be crashing on the beach, but the tide is still going out. So the wind is never going to outdo the tide, okay? The tide's still going to go. That's like pulling the plug on your bathtub. The water has to go somewhere. The water will follow the other water until it becomes level, okay? It's very, very simple. So you can use the wind to your advantage, though. If you are in a windy environment, you want to fish points. You want to fish areas where the fish are going to lay in ambush. So if you have a point or a sharp curve or just a drop off, and all these points, talk about underwater structure. It could be the sandbar goes from a foot to 2 feet. Those fish will sit on the backside and let that wind blow over it. That wind is the current is coming over that point, and the fish will sit there and ambush things. Now, if you're up current casting down current, your lure's not going to look natural. So it's important that you are always casting up current, into the wind against the tide. That will actually allow you to position your kayak down here and pedal forward or paddle forward, cast into the strike zone. That's the strike zone. Cast into the strike zone, drift back, pedal forward, do it again. So wind is not a bad thing. Wind is current. Tide and wind are 2 different types of current. You should always be fishing into the current. That's all it is. It's very, very simple. Start using the tide as a reference point to water depth and salinity, not so much which direction the water's moving. We live in a place with big bay systems. Doesn't matter if you're fishing in the Destin area, Miramar area, or all the way out to Pensacola. There's nothing but large bay systems. They're easily influenced by the wind. The center of the sound is a perfect example. If you have an east to west or west to east wind, there is no protection. That water is just going to run up and down the sound. There's always current. There's always a current in the sound. Every single day, unless the wind is not blowing, period. The wind is going to push the water. The fish will position themselves in that current. Now, they might position themselves in 5-6 feet of water on the edge of a drop-off. They are still there. They're still going to be feeding somewhat. They may not be feeding super aggressive, but they got to eat. They got to eat. That's all it comes down to. Keep that stuff in mind, Michael. I appreciate you taking the time to leave the comment. If anyone else has any questions, leave a comment on the YouTube channel or follow the link below to the submit your questions stuff. It's easier for me. It's easier for me to see it if it hits the database on the website. Remember, the lure offer is for 48 hours-ish, so it will end midnight on the 22nd. Anyone who orders 2 soft plastics will get a decal and a pack of jigs. You don't need to type in any coupon codes or promo codes. It's just going to happen. If you do have a preference between 1/8 ounce, 1/4 ounce, and 5/16 ounce, leave that in the notes section of the order, and I'll do my best to accommodate your request. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch. I hope you have a good day, and I look forward to you booking your next adventure.